Doing it one time, my good friend, the one and only Lady B. How you doing, man? Playing all the hits other station miss. This is WJMG. We're gonna turn the party out tonight. Playing the best of the best, 402 in the hub city of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Taking all calls, 601-544-1941. Let me reach back into this old stack of wax and try to get something that you may dig and like. For days gone by, Miss Henderson, how you doing? These are the Dales. We go back to 1969. It was an AM station, and 1580, and it's still going. It's still available right now. But it was number 7 in the nation.
So this is the 7th black-owned station.
Owned and operated in the nation, number 7.
Huh. So what did that mean at that time coming to this?
Well, people, I think it took some people years later to realize what a blessing it was for us to even have this station. But everybody was excited, man. It was just like, we couldn't do nothing without our radios back in the day. We had the little transistors or whatever, boombox, they came along, but everything was tuned in to WORV. Everybody loved it. Everybody.
How old were you
when I started? I was, when Mr. Floyd got here in '69, I was 15 years old.
Okay.
So I was already into music. I love music, man. Growing up, I used to have tape recorders, and I used to tape myself talking to myself, and I do that. I had 3 tape recorders, and I used to do interviews with myself. I used to change my voice. That was a thing I wanted to do, and I always. That's my passion. I can tell you that now. This is what I always wanted to do. And Daddy and Mom always told me, if you're gonna do something, do it good. Be the best at what you do. I don't try to brag on what I'm doing, but every time I'm behind that microphone, I be trying to get people to say, hey, he's jamming, he's doing this and doing that. And when they call me and tell me, I enjoyed the show, that makes me feel good, man.
How did you meet Mr. Floyd?
I went over there when I was 17. Mr. Floyd was just like a movie star to us. He was like, wow, when you see him. So I got on my bicycle and moseyed all the way over here because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to meet the guys. So I met Leon Franklin. Leon was one of the first jocks over there. He was a superstar. Everybody loved him, some Leon Franklin. I was just in awe, just to meet him and everything. And I talked to him, and he introduced me to the other jocks that was there. I went over there when I was 17. I met Mr. Floyd, and like I said, I couldn't even get my words out. And I told him what I wanted to do. He said, yes, yes. He was always the kindest man you wanted to meet. And so a year after the station opened, I was on. They let me come on for a little while and do this.
So you were on the air?
They put me on the air for a little while. I went on, I had my little segments, about 15 minutes, and do my little thing, because back then it was a lot to do. It ain't like it is today. It's much easier today because we use laptops and computers and everything. Back there it was strictly record players and big commercial tapes. We was working both sides. We had turntable on this side, turntables on that side. You have to listen in and cue it up and doing this. That was fun though. I mean, it was part of what we did. And it was smooth sailing. We mess up now. And Mr. Floyd was the kind of guy, he'll come in there, he'll let you know if you messed up or if you're doing something wrong. So he always let you know. That's what I liked about him. He was a smart man. Mr. Floyd was well educated. As a matter of fact, he was a school teacher. He taught this in school, but he worked on radio stations. He worked behind the scene. He knew what it took to, he wants you to be articulate. He wants you to speak real good. That's what he brought to the station. But he let you be yourself too. If you got a sway about yourself, he lets you do that. But articulate that. Make sure that you're doing it right. Don't call this word if it's something that is something, you calling it something else. He's not going to go for that, and he'll let you know about it. That what makes us look at, before we read something, we read it real good before we put it on the air. Because you be scared Mr. Floyd gonna come up behind you, tap you on the shoulder. That ain't the way to do it. He was that kind of man, and you know, he wasn't real hard on you, but he was very respectful. If you met him, you tell him your name, the next time he address you, he gonna say, Mr. Carton, how you doing, sir? That's the way he talk. He ain't gonna say, hey, Carton, how you doing? Never have I spoke to Mr. Floyd without him calling me Dr. Love or Mr. Al. That was his 2 words. And when he called me Dr. Love, he's in a good mood. When he called me Mr. Al, I better look out because something else would go down.
He really was a pioneer, because when I look back at all the articles, all the stuff he was doing, I don't see how he had time to do all that. You know, Mr. Floyd, he went to Tuskegee. He would go to Tuskegee and broadcast their games. He would do William Carey, he would do Hattiesburg, he would do Petal, he would do Jackson State, Alcorn State. I mean, his schedule would stay full based off all the schools he had. I guess a contract with all the schools he had, partnerships that he would broadcast their games, you know, on air. So I didn't ever think no one had ever done something like that here. But when I saw that, I was just like, man, this man was before his time. When I first came, it was like basically, it was like signing a contract with the Golden State Warriors. And when I found out that it was a black station, and it was the first black station, and I was just like, well, maybe it's you know, divine. And it just been, ears been pinned back ever since.
For example, I went to Mr. Floyd one time. He would not charge you if somebody's house burned down and you want to do, we call it record hop back in the days, to raise money to help him. He's not going to charge you no money to do that. He's going to say, put on your advertisement and help him out. That's the kind of person he was. But our thing is, if you got something that a revival or any of this stuff that's going on in the community, even a drive, blood drive, anything, come here and we will help you. Because we, you know, it makes us feel good. That's where he was. He made us, he instilled that in us, man. That's the biggest thing about that.
Every day when I do come in and walk down the walls, it's just that, you get that feeling like, man, I get to play music on the first black station in Mississippi, like. But everybody used to talk about it when I first came. And I was like, why everybody so scared of him, but I don't never see him, you know? I didn't know he had passed.
It was like a training station for them. They train, and then they go and make the big money. You know, if you're coming through, you train in here. You're doing the best, because Mr. Floyd is one of the best guys. You're gonna, if you're a little off on something, he's gonna tell you. So when you go for this bigger job in a bigger market, everybody, man, want to advance himself. So when you go to this bigger market, that money is right there.
I can think of 2 off the top of my head.
Who that?
Skip Cheatham.
Yeah, Skip, a good friend of mine. I told Skip he was gonna go big before he even. He said, "Man, how you know that?" Yeah.
Greg Street.
Oh, Greg. Greg was one of the guys.
Back in the day.
Yeah, Greg was one of the guys. How Greg got started, and we used to do this thing over at Phase 2 Club.
Teen Club.
Yeah, well, it was a nightclub, but I did teen on Wednesday nights. I don't know if you were part of that, but I used to have a little section that I invited guys up to come in if they want to be a DJ one day. And Greg was one of the guys that, I want to do this, I want to do that. So he was, came back every Wednesday. Greg was doing this, Greg was doing that. I said, man, you're going to be all right, boy. You know, he started talking and doing this. That's how Greg got started. A lot of people don't know it. Then he came over here, Mr. Floyd, put him in the rotation, let him do train over here. And then he went on from there. He didn't just stop at here. He kept going. And his dad bought him some equipment. I said, Greg, I ain't seen you in a while. He said, my dad bought me equipment, man. See, the thing about Greg, what I like about him, he was always trying to advance, and he did. He wanted to come back and challenge the older jocks, me and Leon. We was all doing something one time. I'm gonna come in there, man. I'm gonna bust y'all. I'm gonna do this, and that was fun. He liked doing it. He feel like if he can come down there and bust us and do this and then he's good to go. So that was all in the plan. I loved it, man. And I've seen him on national TV, and he doing good. Skip doing good. This was a starting point for a lot of people, and a lot of people went on and made good things out of it. That way what Mr. Floyd was, man. Mr. Floyd used to walk around with his shirt and tie on every time you see him, man. It was just like a big afro and everything. He reminded me of Sidney Poitier. I used to tell him that. He said, Mr. Al, don't do that. But he was one of a kind.
And just one last question or statement. I don't know if this, and I just wanted you to comment on it. He would have these, I don't know what you call it, segments to where it would be history or, he seemed to give some pride instilled in us. Even if we didn't know we were getting it, we were getting it.
You're absolutely right. And Mr. Floyd, he was behind a lot of programs. People come to Mr. Floyd with these different program ideas, and he'll think about it first. He may not tell you right away, but he'll think about it first. Then he'll come back and say, hey, look, let's do this. So if you got a good program and you want to talk about it, be prepared. You better have your knowledge right when you do. I don't care if it's the Bible, history, or whatever, but whatever you're talking about, Mr. Floyd is going to tune in. He's going to listen, and he's going to question you about it if it's something that he don't think is right. And like I said, he let people go with a lot of programs, man. If you had good ideas, he's gonna stay behind you and let you do what you do.
One last question: why no rap?
It's hard to say, but I don't know, when the rap came out, it was smooth rap. He may let you get away with some of it, but the rap got heavy. And like I said, all that rap music came over here too. When these record companies send out the rap, they'll send it to all the radio stations. And Mr. Floyd would look at the rap and he'll see X on there, because they had to put it on there. If it's X-rated or restricted, it's on there. And he didn't want nothing to go over his air like that. So that's a blow to the. I know you was young at the time. I was too, but that's a blow to him. And it's like a slap in the community's face if they hear some rap that's derogatory or something. It was some smooth rap out there. And today we may ease some good stuff into the programs, but it's not going to be no hardcore rap.
Yeah. So what's the future of Genetic too?
Looking forward, I'm glad you said that, because I want more people to get involved. We was going to put a program in where trainees from USM or Carey College or surrounding sororities and stuff, if they are available and want to advance their, they get credit points for this. We got people working in different departments that can help them.